Good morning. Okay, I'm going to try this, just kind of walking and talking at the same time. We are in a series on the person and work of the Holy Spirit, and last week we talked about this idea that God will serve up to us by His Spirit opportunities for us to witness, and He will empower that with the power of His Spirit. And that's the part of the purpose of this whole idea of being filled with the Holy Spirit, of being empowered, is to be a witness. And so yesterday I talked to you about this idea that you need to be prepared. You need to just not just kind of take it spontaneously, because if somebody asks you to talk about your witness, your testimony of how you came to Christ, you need to know what you're going to say. And so I asked you to write that down. Now I want to ask you to go a step further and basically just to sit down with somebody that you know and that you trust and tell the story. Maybe tell it a couple of times. Maybe ask them for some feedback on the whole thing and what it's like for you to be able to tell that story. What I was like before. Good morning. What I was like before, and how I met Jesus, and then what I'm like now, what life is like now that I know Him. So it is I know that this sounds kind of strange, but that we want to have some practice in this, but you need to practice being able to tell your story of how Jesus became real to you. So I want to ask you to do that sometime this weekend. Maybe your house church, you can tell your testimony and at that point in time, but get familiar with telling your story of how Jesus became real to you and how you got saved. That's a really big deal. It's part of what God has promised us. It's part of what God has commissioned us. It's part of the purpose of your and my life, is to make Jesus known to a world that needs Him so badly. So think about that today. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you on Sunday.